Hare Krishna. So today I want to see if you guys know to sing the prayer to our spiritual master. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Satarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Satari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, I'm not yet so good at singing, but najaribu tu, you know. In any way, those are very important prayers. You know, the first one is prayer to our spiritual master, because without his mercy, we will not have this temple, we will not have these books translated in English, you know, we will not have association of devotees, we will not have prashadam, yeah, we will not get to discover Krishna, who is our eternal friend, yeah. So, um, today we are going to be going to chapter 6, and in chapter 6 we have material problems, spiritual solutions. Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You can all hear me, yes? All right. So that's going to be on page 182. Yeah, and we're going to read it together. So, focus on global unity. December 1969, speaking in Boston before the International Student Society, Srila Prabhupada provides a practical, simple, yet profound solution for world peace and harmony. Noting the increased number of flags at the United Nations building in New York, he states that internationalism is failing because your international feeling and my international feeling are overlapping and conflicting. We have to find the proper center for our loving feelings. That center is Krishna. Thank you very much for participating with us in this Krishna consciousness movement. I understand that this society is known as the International Student Society. There are many other international societies such as the United Nations. So the idea of an international society is very nice, but we must try to understand what the central idea of an international society should be. If you throw a stone in the middle of a pool of water, a circle will expand to the limit of the bank. Similarly, radio waves expand in a circle, and when you capture the waves with your radio, you can hear the message. In the same way, our loving feeling can also expand. At the beginning of our life, we simply want to eat. Whatever a small child grabs, he wants to eat. He has only personal interest. Then, when the child grows a little, he tries to participate with his brothers and sisters. All right, you also take a little. This is an increasing in the feeling of fellowship. Then, as he grows, he begins to feel some love for his parents, then for his community, then for his country, and at last for all nations. But unless the center is right, that expansion of feeling, even if it's national or international, is not perfect. For example, the meaning of the word national is one who has taken birth in a particular country. You feel for other Americans because they are born in this country. You may even sacrifice your life for your countrymen. But there is a defect. If the definition of national is one who is born in a particular country, then why are the animals born in America not considered Americans? Very interesting question, eh? We don't have American cats ati ukitoa paka America ulete hapa inatoa miao yake, si ndio? American cows, eh? Yes. America, okay. If the definition of the animals born in America is not considered Americans, the problem is that we are not expanding our feelings beyond the human society. Because we don't think animals are our countrymen, we send them to the slaughterhouse. So, the center of our national feeling or our international feeling is not fixed on the proper object. If the center is right, then you can draw any number of circles around that center and they will never overlap. They simply keep growing, growing, growing. They'll not intersect with one another if the center is all right. Unfortunately, everyone is feeling nationally or internationally, the center is missing. Therefore, your international feeling and my international feeling, your national feeling and my national feeling are overlapping and conflicting. So, we have to find the proper center for our loving feelings. Then you can expand your circle of feelings and it will not overlap or conflict with others. That center is Krishna. Our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is teaching the people of all countries that the center of affection should be Krishna. In other words, we are teaching people to be Mahatmas. You may have heard this word Mahatma before. It is a Sanskrit word that is applied to a person whose mind is expanded, whose circle of feeling is very much expanded. This is a Mahatma. Maha means big or great, and Atma means soul. So, he who has expanded his soul very wide is called a Mahatma. The Bhagavad Gita gives a description of the person who has expanded his feelings very wide. Bahunam janam janmanam ante janavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samat mahatma sudurlabha. The first idea in this verse is that one can become a Mahatma only after many, many births. Bahunam janmanam ante. The soul is transmigrating through many bodies, one after another. There are 8.4 million different species of life, and we evolve through them until at last we come to the human form of life. Only then can we become a Mahatma. This is why Krishna says, Bahunam Janman Ante, after many, many births, one becomes a Mahatma. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a similar verse, Labva Su Durlabam Idam Bahu Sambhavanti. After many, many births, you have achieved a human body, which is very difficult to get. This human form of life is not cheap. The bodies of cats and dogs and other animals are cheap. But this human form is not. After being born in at least 8 million different species, we get this human form. So the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita say the same thing. All Vedic literatures corroborate on one another, and the person who can understand them does not find any contradiction. So, the human form of life is obtained after many, many births in other than human forms of life. But even in the human form of life, many, many births are required for one who is cultivating knowledge of the central point of existence. If one is actually cultivating spiritual knowledge, not in one life but in many, many lives, one eventually comes to the highest platform of knowledge and is called Jnanavan, the possessor of true knowledge. The possessor. Then Krishna says, Mam prapadyate, he surrenders unto me, Krishna or God. When I say Krishna, I mean the Supreme God, Lord, the all-attractive Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, many of you may not be aware, but on Friday, right? On Friday we had His Grace, Bhaktidira Damodara Swami Maharaj, grace us with his presence here in the temple. And he's an initiating guru. Basically what he does is that he allows for those who have practiced devotional service or devotees and they wish to dedicate their lives to becoming and going through in the discipleship to have a spiritual father, because as we all know, even in our different religions like Christianity, we know of twice born people, right? That for one, when you're baptized, your first, as we know in Christianity, you say that your sins have been washed away, right? And you're given a spiritual name, right? Like maybe you're given names from other saints like John, Peter, Jeremiah, etc., right? So, but in ISKCON, what happens is when one continues on his spiritual path, and the more that you find yourself positioned in devotional service, and you want to now find somebody who can guide you through that journey, because you cannot do this alone. Yeah, Maya is just too strong. You hata ukitoka tu hapa nje, you just live outside here. You know, maybe a thief can hit you, or there's just so many things happening around. So you can imagine attaining this human form of life. And in fact, as it's saying here, Prabhupada is telling us that Jnananavan, the possessor of true knowledge, yeah, not in one life, but in many, many lives. I think it's I have read it in one of the different, basically Vedas texts. It explains that one can reincarnate up to 100 lives as a female and then 8 as a male, something like that. You find that we've been dying and coming, even as this form of a human life, because of the consciousness that you have. You will still die and come back, die and come back, die and come back, die and come back. And the risk is that you don't really know what your next life can be. But it all depends on your car. I think we've touched on that in the previous classes, yes? So this feeling of nationality, all of us probably we identify as Kenyans, some as Indians, and we are so strong with that association. But so what happens and you die and you're born in America? You forget that you are an Indian and you have an American or a Black American body, and you take up the nationality of that country. Yeah. So let's continue. Now, why does a man in knowledge surrender to Krishna? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Because he knows that Vasudeva Krishna is everything, that he is the central point of all loving feelings. Then, Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. Here, the word Mahatma is used after cultivating knowledge for many, many births. A person who expands his consciousness up to the point of loving God, he is a Mahatma, a great soul. God is great and his devotee is also great. But Krishna says Sa Mahatma Su Durlabh. That sort of great soul is very rarely to be seen. This is the description of a Mahatma we get from the Bhagavad Gita. So I've told you about His Grace Bhaktidira Damodara Swami Maharaj. Now for him, he had a spiritual master who he surrendered to and he was initiated, with whom his spiritual master, his name is Bhaktidira Damodara Bhaktitirtha Swami, had taken initiation directly from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So even in this movement, it's not that because you've read the Bible, tomorrow you wake up and you open a church and you're a pastor. It does not work like that. Here it is literally Krishna who opens the door for you because he can see that you have accepted to be a servant. Time and time again in every class we've been talking about the aspect of servitude. Yeah? To understand how to serve. You see, to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? Krishna Krishna? Hare Hare? Hare Rama? Hare Rama? Rama Rama? Hare Hare. Yes, very important. That mantra will save you. Yeah. So, and what happens is, I want you to imagine that we compare two different people. One person follows the normal trajectory, which, as we know, the life is photocopying businessmen and, watu tu wa maisha tu. Yeah? You work very hard. You're born, you go to school, a very good school. You get out into the world, you get a very good job. Your job allows you to open a very good business. You become a millionaire, you have properties, you have 3 wives, you have 10 cars, you have 20 children. Yeah, you have so much money, you buy an island. You have so much money, if you want to go and have lunch with the president, you call him for lunch, you fly with your chopper, you know. But then one day, as you're flying in your chopper, one blade cuts and you die. Without knowing God. And then, there is, on this other side, you have a good birth, you go through school, you encounter a pure devotee. Yeah, a pure devotee in this case is like His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he lets you know that we are in something that is a hamster wheel. Unajua ka hamster venye kana kimbianga hivi inside a hamster wheel. Yeah? And then after some time it comes out, drinks some water and then it goes back. That is what life is. And he tells you that the door to come out is there. If you don't come out there, you're coming back. Yeah? So, do you know what the difference is with these two people? One person collects wealth, spiritual wealth, yeah, which he transfers to his next life. And one accumulates material wealth, which he lives right here. Even his own body, he lives right here. Are you seeing the two differences? Spiritual progress is permanent. Hivyo venye nimefanya mchant Hare Krishna, that is a permanent step. It's like you've taken one step. Yeah? Ni kama tumeweka 1,000 shillings kwa account. Unajua when you put some money in an account, inaendelea tu kuaccumulate. Now that is a permanent spiritual progress. So reading scripture, associating with devotees, eating prasad, anything that you do in Krishna consciousness is permanent. You carry that to your next life. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, Krishna tells us that one who encounters Krishna consciousness and makes a small step, even just kusema tu, you know those people who abuse you, nyinyi watu wa Hare Krishna, that person has made a step in spiritual progress. It has been written somewhere. Yeah, so it is very, very important when I try and engage you in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because that is literally your lifeline to connect to Krishna. Hare Krishna? Yes. So when we look at someone like Bhaktidira Damodara Swami Maharaj, he's been a devotee. He's been basically practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 40 years. So imagine he's been chanting every day, chanting every day for 40 years. You know? And then ana encounter mtu kama mimi mwenye nimerandaranda huku, nimepotea, you know? And he gives me a little knowledge, tells me, do this, do that, do this, do that. I am on my way because Guru is none different from Krishna. So in this movement, what happens for somebody who becomes a spiritual master? As we know, we've watched movies of Kung Fu and Karate. Mnajuanga ule black belt, hata nani akuja hezi mchapa. Ni yeye anachapa everyone else. Sindio? Now for him, in this, as long as you're in this material world, there is suffering. But for devotees, Krishna takes care of you personally. He creates, he provides for you everything that you need. So even the aspect of having to work hard, going to a different country, like I know many of us here, we have relatives maybe who have told us, wachana na huku Kenya kumechapa, kuna president amechapa, enda US. Wewe unaenda US huko unapamba, huko hata ndio unachapwa vizuri. We have friends and relatives who they thought that when they live here, they go to another country, that their things will be very good. Some prosper, some don't, if not most. They go there and they suffer 10 times more. Yeah? So, and Krishna guarantees us, like I've told you in the Bhagavad Gita, that for one who surrenders unto me, because that is what Krishna says, he is the possessor of true knowledge. Then Krishna says, Mam prapadyate, he surrenders unto me, Krishna or God. When I say Krishna, I mean the Supreme Lord. Yeah? So it's all about surrender. Whenever we chant that Mahamantra in a mood of surrender, yeah, in a mood of please Krishna engage me, because I am so fallen, I forget you, please remember me, engage me, show me where I can be able to serve you and make you happy. Yeah, sisi wote we've grown up with our, maybe some of you may have not, or with at least one parent. You know, at one point you worked very hard, you are trying to make either your mom happy or your father happy, right? And in one way, when you did that, you'd feel good. Sindio? Now I want you to imagine that in order to even be someone who is attracted to Krishna consciousness, you have had to take very many births. Umeshinda ukikufa unazaliwa, ukikufa unazaliwa, ukikufa unazaliwa. You think that your mom and dad, wenye uko nao saizi, that those are the only ones you've ever had. But you've had many different parents, many siblings, many different cousins in your past lives. And I know even to some extent, in one way or another, we've even encountered people, as we've talked in some other classes, that you've encountered people and for some reason you feel like they are very familiar to you, even if you've never met them before, you know? Those are some symptoms of past life, that you meet people who you are with in your past life, you know? Hata mapenzi inakuwa hivyo, mnapatana na mtu, you don't know why this person, you're like magnets. Those are the symptoms of past life, karmic reactions. And so to cut this karmic reaction, where the things that you do, you reap the fruits. If everything you surrender and you serve to Krishna, he reserves for you a place in his abode. Hare Krishna? Alright, let's continue. The Srimad Bhagavatam, that's on page 185, it says, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 8, confirms that the goal of life is Krishna. Dharma swanusita pumsana vishvakshena katasuya not padayat yadi ratim shram evahim kevalam. The first words in this verse are Dharmam swanustita pumsam. This means that everyone is doing his duty according to his position. A householder has some duty, a sannyasi, renunciate has some duty, a brahmachari or celibate student has some duty. There are different types of duties according to the different occupations or professions. But the Bhagavatam says, if by performing your duties very nicely you still do not come to the understanding of Krishna, then whatever you have done is simply useless labor. It's just like a donkey. Unaonanga venye kuna konga na punda tu, inakonga imewekwa tu pale tu. Its job is to eat grass and pull carts. You will pull a cart and 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 pull a cart. Eat some grass, go back. That is what material life is. You see? And as we know, that is not something we want to do every day. Like it's even when you are an old punda, you will not enjoy it so much. And then you're born again as a punda, you do it again, 20 years. That is the cycle of birth and death. Yeah? So, if you want to come to the point of perfection, you should try to understand and love Krishna. Then your national or international feelings of love will actually expand to their limit. You notice that with Krishna consciousness, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada opened this movement. He opened over 108 temples around the world, including this one. Alikuja hapa I think it was 1969. Akaangalia akasema pale, that is where the Nairobi temple will be. And he said that Kenya is the jewel of Africa, because here we have a spiritual culture. We are more spiritual. As you recall, I told you that if you notice with reincarnation, more demoniac people are born in the West, and more spiritual people are born in the East. That is why you'll find India on the East, Kenya tuko East, na the West iko na huko. Vizile vitu zina happen in the West, hata tunaona news tunasema, hey, I'm lucky I was not born there, for us who are here. You see? So, but as we understand now, nationality does not really matter in terms of the soul, because all living entities have the same similar thing, which is the soul. We all know here, depending on the different jobs that we do, somebody working in UN or whatever, maybe he's paid 300,000, and then there is somebody working as an accountant, he's paid 100,000 or 80,000. Then there is a shopkeeper, he makes 30,000. You see? The shopkeeper lives in a 1-bedroom house, the accountant lives in a 2-bedroom house, the guy in the United Nations lives in a mansion. Yeah? But all of these things are just material things. They're all just material things. That is the same concept of the body that we have. By some piety, the good things that you did in your previous life, you are awarded the physical or the human body that you have right now. But its main purpose is to cultivate spiritual knowledge, to know who you are. Yes? Hare Krishna? That is your main agenda. That should be the highest purpose of, and that is why we have intelligence. Because if you're born as a cat, hawezi say hata paka haiwezi sema Hare Krishna. Hata ushinde ukiambia Hare Krishna haiwezi. Huh? Although we see people trying to train dogs to talk, no matter how much you train that dog, it cannot talk. Now, suppose a man says, yes, I have expanded my feelings of love very widely. That is all right. But he must show the symptoms of how his feelings of love are expanded. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadashina. If one actually, a Pandita, someone who is elevated to the stage of perfect wisdom, then he must see everyone on an equal platform. Sarmadashina, because the vision of a Pandita is no longer absorbed in simply with the body. He sees a learned Brahmana as a spirit soul. He sees a dog as a spirit soul. He sees an elephant as a spirit soul. And also, he sees a low-born man as a spirit soul. From the high-born Brahmana down to the Kandala, outcasts, there are many social classes in human society. But if a man is really learned, he sees everyone, every living entity on the same level. That is the stage of true learning. Hare Krishna. So what have we learned there? That every living entity, yes, Prabhupada hapa ametuambia ikuwe ni umbwa, it be an elephant, it be a low-born man, all of them are what? A spirit, soul. And that is why in the Bible we also have, do not kill. But some people, or rather, have twisted it to say do not murder. So they give themselves the license to slaughter. They give themselves the license to slaughter different animals. I was shocked the other day to see a video on Twitter showing the number of cats, dogs, sharks, alligators, donkeys, horses, squirrels that are slaughtered on a yearly basis. And the highest, you can imagine what it is, chicken. That is the most slaughtered animal. Yeah? So, from the high-born Brahmana down to the Kandala outcast, there are many social classes in human society. But if a man is really learned, he sees everyone, every living entity on the same level. That is the stage of true learning. It means we are spirit souls and everyone is just evolving on their own position. Just like when you go to a school, there is somebody in class 1, there is someone in class 3, na kuna mwenye anamalizia class 8. Na bado akigraduate, he will still go to high school where he'll become a mono, and then he goes from 1, 2, 3, 4. Still graduates like that. From the person who is in university to the person who is in high school to the person who is in as a child. All of them we know that they are spirit soul, right? But because of the lack of knowledge, we seem to think that other species of life are not spirit soul. But indeed, as Prabhupada lets us know, as the scriptures let us know, they are spirit soul. So what do we learn from this? That we should consider the fact that we are humans to be very fortunate. Sindio? So, then what is our next step? Our next step is to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Yeah? To take shelter of the spiritual master so that he can be able to give us wisdom. You see? So in this case, right now, Prabhupada, before he died, his disciples asked him, Prabhupada, now when you die, the movement will be over. But he told them, no, I will live on in my books, in my lectures, through my devotees, and through this vehicle we call ISKCON. So when you're here, take advantage. Take advantage of every single thing that you can see happening here in ISKCON. Kula prashad, ongelesha devotee, go for programs, come for festivals, buy books, chant. Hare Krishna. We are trying to expand our feeling. That's on 186, the second paragraph. I'll finish on this paragraph and then you guys can ask questions. Yeah. We are trying to expand our feelings socially, communally, nationally, internationally, or universally. That is our natural function, to expand our consciousness. But my point is that if we actually want to expand our consciousness to the utmost, we must find out the real center of existence. That center is Krishna, or God. How do we know Krishna is God? Krishna declares himself to be God in the Bhagavad Gita. Please, always remember that the Krishna consciousness movement is based on understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is. Whatever I am speaking is in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, the Bhagavad Gita has been misinterpreted by so many commentators that people have misunderstood it. Actually, the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to develop Krishna consciousness, love of Krishna, and we are trying to teach that. Yesterday, in a lecture by His Grace Bhaktivedanta Damodara Swami Maharaj, he said a very profound statement. He said that he has not seen anybody else who has transformed him into a devotee like His Divine Grace Swami Prabhupada. He has transformed so many non-devotees to devotees. He had to leave his country, India, and go to the US, create devotees, and then go back with the devotees to India for the Indians to believe that whatever he's doing is supreme. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and that is some of the history of our founder. So, I want to leave the panel for you guys to ask me any questions that you would like to know.
I think I may have asked you this question
Yes.
some time ago,
Yeah.
but maybe you can give me your perspective.
Yes.
The Gita says that there are infinite material universes.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, other than this universe,
Yes.
there's infinite material universes.
Yes.
So, you're telling me after I die, I can take birth in any one of those infinite material universes?
Yes. Let me explain it to you. Hare Krishna. He's asked a very good question. So, sometimes we normally ask ourselves, like, are there aliens? You know? Are there aliens? Is this the only world that we have? And in the Bhagavatam, we learn some deeper philosophy. Actually, that there are millions and billions of material planets in the universe, and there are millions and billions of universes. To the extreme that, if I explain to you how great Krishna is, it will blow your mind. Now let me start how the universe is manifested. So basically, this entire cosmic manifestation is literally created and destroyed between when Krishna is breathing in and breathing out. That is how the universe is created, and that is how the universe is destroyed. And now you ask yourself, how is that even possible? Whenever we breathe in, so you know we're inhaling bacteria, sindio? And when we breathe out, we're inhaling out bacteria, sindio? Now, we have the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. It's basically Krishna lying in the causeless ocean. And so you know whenever you sweat, you have pores on your skin, right? From those pores is where now a universe is created. So I want you to imagine how large is Krishna. Ebu, I want you to imagine if you are a bacteria right now, yeah? You have a piece of ugali here and a piece of ugali here. The bacteria on this piece of ugali and the bacteria on this piece of ugali, if they got to have a conversation, what will they start saying? Yeah? So that is literally the nature of the material universe. You'll find that there are other material planets just like this one, maybe with the same aspects that are happening right here in those other material planets. And in fact, we have heavenly planets that are 7 heavenly planets in every universe and 7 demonic or hellish planets. In the hellish planets, there is no sunlight. But in the demigod planets, they have light almost every day, almost the whole day. People live 100,000 years. You know, they have special positions. They take care of certain aspects of the universe. So, back to the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, where Krishna is lying on a causeless ocean. So, whenever he's inhaling, he destroys everything. And whenever he's exhaling, the pore is created. So, the billions and millions of years that has been happening, it's been literally Krishna's breath. We are living between Krishna's breath. And then inside that universe, there is it's Karanodakshai Vishnu. That's Krishna lying on a serpent with Lakshmi, serving his feet. And a lotus flower grows from his navel, which now has a material planet, now the one that we are living in. And in that one, he himself goes in as Lord Brahma, as Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. And inside there, that is how he creates all of us. That's crazy to imagine. But it's not also hard to imagine that if you look inside your own body, there is a whole other universe there. After all, we have explained that every living entity has a soul, isn't there? In the Bhagavad Gita, we also learn that the soul is 1/10,000 the tip of a hair. That's how small the soul is. So Krishna is able to give and create and provide every soul a place depending on the purpose is created for it. So that is how and why we have so many millions of universes and so many millions of material planets.
What happens to the living entities at the end of each yuga?
Good question.
See, currently we are in the age of Kali Yuga.
Yes.
And only 5,000 years left.
Yes. Yes.
And we have another 300,000 years left, correct? Or something like
430,000 years.
Yeah, so what happens to the living entities at the end of each yuga?
So, when you read the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, like today's lecture in Bhagavatam class, His Grace Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami Maharaj said that in the spiritual world there are no demons. It is only here in the material world that there are demons. So Krishna has to always come and kill them. Just like in your own house, how you might be having house flies, and you decide, hey, these flies are too many. Spray some doom and they die. So what will happen? This material universe is a prison. All of us here are prisoners. We are imprisoned in this body. And this body gives us either pleasure or suffering. Because there are those 4 aspects that we've learned about having a material life. Yeah? There is birth, old age, disease, and death. Yeah? So in this yuga, when we think about the first yuga, in the first yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years. That was, I think it was Dwapara Yuga. And then it was Satya Yuga. And then after Satya Yuga, we have Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and then Treta Yuga, and then Kali Yuga. So in the second Yuga, people are living for 10,000 years. And then after that, they started living for 1,000 years. And then into our Yuga, where we are living for 100 years. So what is happening? We are deteriorating. Because ideally, in our fall from grace, as I've told you, in the spiritual, we do not have any demons, right? So in us falling here, one of the main reasons that we fell in this material planet was because we developed envy, lust, greed, anger. Those are the contaminations in our heart. And so what happens? You are born life after life after life, suffering in this material world until you're purified from that contamination. That is why you're finding in the scriptures, it's talking about the deterioration of the material planet. That in the end times, Krishna himself will come as Kalki and he will eliminate all the demons. But by that time, the scriptures also predict some very scary things. Yeah? That cows will be the size of goats. Trees will be the size of shrubs. There will be no milk. There will be no grain. Yeah? There will be so much problems and famine that mothers will eat their own children. That's scary to imagine, right? Yeah? That men or the duration of life will be short of 20 years. Imagine ati umefika 20 and then you die. Hata hujaona maisha. How sad is that? That is the deterioration that is happening. Because even when you look at right now, long time ago, people used to live to 100, 95 comfortably. Someone can jog, you know. But as time goes by, we are finding most people are dying somewhere between 60, 50, 70. People are not going beyond that. Others 75, 85. You see. So very few people are getting to 100 years. And by the time they get to 100 years, they have so many medical problems. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So towards every yuga, because they are all cycles, those are the physical changes that happen. Because also, it is because of the elevation of demonic nature that some demons in that specific yuga become so powerful that Krishna has to do something about it, and that ends up destabilizing everything, which affects the way that people are born and like that, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Because in the first yuga, everyone or most people would be able to maintain intelligence and knowledge. Yeah, you'd be able to find people would transfer knowledge from word of mouth. If it's something like the Bhagavad Gita, it is spoken from beginning to end once and they understand and they remember. Right now, even remembering what you did yesterday in the morning, it's hard to remember. Hare Krishna? Yes. It's a good answer. Does anyone else have a question? Yes.
I've made a small attempt
Yes.
to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, there is a Bhagavad Gita that is not, that is just an interpretation, not the one by Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, yeah.
Is it that the other one is not the good one, and I just have to read this one?
It's a very good question. Very, very, very good question. Now, you see, the challenge of reading the Bhagavad Gita from other people is when you read a book, when you're reading scripture from somebody who has not shown, been able to effectively show the results, or basically they are not a pure person, they've not shown their saintly nature to the highest level, yeah, you're likely to be contaminated by the misinterpretation of the words from Krishna. Because you see, I want you to imagine you want to study medicine, yeah, and somebody just goes and finds, maybe he learns 1, 2, 3 things about Madawa, and he writes a book. And then there is somebody who has been studying medicine for 20 years. Yeah? Whose book would you trust? The one with the 20 years, right? Now, I want you to imagine that the Bhagavad Gita and these books are not, they are not only translations as it is, but they are translations from a transcendental point of view. Yeah? Because these words are not, they are not material. Even when you read the Gita, you're literally listening to Krishna's words. You need to be of some level of purity to be able to understand what Krishna is saying. So unfortunately, for some of the writers who have written or translated the other Bhagavad Gitas, we are not seeing their devotees. But from Prabhupada, we are seeing countless devotees, yeah, doing incredible things, transforming lives. Yeah. So his translation or transcription of the Bhagavad Gita, and since he's the one who has written the purports, the Bhagavad Gita has been written in such a way that he will be able to preach to us for even 10,000 years into the future through that Bhagavad Gita. That is how powerful it is. Yeah, and he has the benediction of Krishna as a guru because he was initiated by somebody who was also initiated by another guru, and so forth and so forth. So from Krishna, when you read the Bhagavad Gita, you find that there is something called a parampara system, and that is the differentiation of ISKCON and any other movements, in that it is not that Prabhupada woke up one morning and decided, you know what, let me translate this Gita and sell it. If at all he wasn't doing it to sell it, he's trying to distribute this spiritual knowledge to as many people as possible, even for free. That is why we have donations. When you look at most of the Bhagavad Gitas here, they are donated for free. And this is moving forward because there is real transformational change. Yeah? Because even when we listen to the knowledge in this, the chapter that we have read, unasikia inabeba uzito. Si ndio? We can all tell the difference between good quality and bad quality. Even when you're going to buy shoes, you can tell a good shoe and a bad shoe. Well, angalia tu hivi, you can tell. Yes? So that is the difference. That he is a pure devotee. Yeah? Yes. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. So the recommendation is that you take up Krishna consciousness and you read from Prabhupada because he's connected to the parampara system. Yeah? Someone in ISKCON does not just become a guru. He wakes up tomorrow and he opens a church. No, it does not happen like that. So it is the ladder all the way back to Krishna. And that is why Prabhupada recommends to us that we chant 16 rounds and we follow the 4 regulative principles, which are no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. Yeah? Guru is somebody who connects you to Krishna. That is what guru means. Yeah, and That is all he's doing. He is not professing to be God like other people who translate the Bhagavad Gita. You'll find that some people who translate the Bhagavad Gita say that they are incarnation of God. They gain many followers here. They do simple yogic, those two small things that they do to fool people. That is why we started in our class. There is a chapter we read, Show Bottle Spiritualists. People who will sell you a mantra. Yeah? And we have to be very careful. We have to be able to distinguish. Because even if mud, you throw it inside mud, now utoe washes, si bado ni gold. That is what the Bhagavad Gita is. That is what the words of Prabhupada are. Hare Krishna? Yeah. Is there anyone with another question? Leo tumeingia deep, eh? Yeah, so I guess we can end our class. That we can honor Prashad. Yeah, and we normally offer our prayers to the Panchatattva. That is Lord Chaitanya and his associates who brought us the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We normally, by the way, we'll work on the WhatsApp group for the class because I'm seeing at least more consistent students. And then from there, we'll start building our communications even for the next classes. Isn't that good? Yeah, so, you go. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. And then we offer our prayers to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravari Pracharine, Nivishesha Shunavadi Pasata Desatarine. And then we finish with the Maha Mantra, which we chant 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes. Thank you very much. Please honor Prashad and Prabhupada Ki Jai. See you in our next class from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. next Sunday. Hare Krishna.